Hello everyone! Spymaster Mathias Shaw is a man of many secrets, so his life story, it's not known to everyone, seeing how he got a much more active role during Battle for Azeroth, in Shadows Rising, and an upcoming book called Exploring Azeroth. I figured it could be fun to sit down and talk about what secrets we can uncover from the shadows.
I thought I saw you glance in my direction.
Mathias' grandmother. She was a thief. Mathias Shaw, the Silver Cut Purse. This information is actually part of the Warcraft RPG, which in general is considered to be non-canon, meaning that it's no longer part of the official lore. In general, that is the case, but certain elements they're definitely picked up, like Mathias being used in the novel Shadows Rising. She was the founder and leader of a guild of rogues called the Stormwind Assassins. Mathias, she sometimes got caught on the job, and each time, Stormwind gave her a choice. She could either simply hang for her crimes, or she could work for them, and each time she chose to work. Assassinate whomever they told her to, and make it look like an accident, or a robbery gone wrong, or anything but what it actually was. The tools of her trade were passed on to her daughter, Mathias' unnamed mother, and when his mother died, Mathias, the badass that she was, she raised Mathias and taught him as well. Small beginnings, but those family skills and connections, they allowed Mathias to work his way up the ranks. Sadly, there's not a whole lot known about his youth. It's definitely an area that Blizzard could expand upon. It would be great to see more information on the founding of the SI7, building up its ranks, its connections throughout the world. What we do know is that by the time that we get to interact with Mathias, that he has become their leader, fiercely loyal to Stormwind and House Rin. Their headquarters are based in Stormwind's old town, with his second-in-command, Renzik the Shiv. He's standing right next to him. The RPG claims that SI7 is what flowed out of Mathias' Stormwind Assassins Guild. But there are other sources that say that the guild is a different organization, although there might be some interplay between the two groups. And the easiest way to describe this SI7 is that it's Stormwind's spy network. You need intel on a situation, you need agents undercover, you need someone walking in the shadows and make those hard choices. That is what the SI7 does. That's what Shaw leads for the crown.
It's Shaw. Mathias Shaw.
Like the time that they placed agents in Lordaeron to keep an eye on things, or at Fedamore Isle to deal with deserters, or inside of Orgrimmar to follow the Horde's developments, the SI7 has eyes everywhere and report back to the crown. Even heroes of the Alliance, they get to party with the SI7. One of the most fondly remembered questlines, that would have to be the Defiance Brotherhood questline way back in Classic. From Westfall to Lakeshire to Stormwind, slowly but surely you uncover the plots and schemes that are going on inside of the Dead Mines with the Defiance Brotherhood. They were not always the cutthroat, thieving organization as you see them in Classic. Once they were known as the Stonemasons Guild, working hard to rebuild Stormwind. Yet, when it came time to pay that bill, the nobles of Stormwind refused. Their leader, Edwin Van Cleef, he led the riots through the streets. During the chaos and violence that followed, Varian's wife Tiffin, she sadly lost her life. Van Cleef became one of the prime targets to take out, but not easy prey to corner, as he actually grew up with Shaw, a childhood friend, personally trained in the ways of the shadows, thinking that one day he might consider a career alongside of Mathias. That was not to be. Instead, Heroes of Azeroth, they entered the Dead Mines, they took Van Cleef's life, and they chopped off his head to take back as proof of demise. On his body, they also found an unsent letter. Their leader, he might be dead, but it doesn't stop the Defiance Brotherhood from being a threat. An extensive questline involving the stockades, using Shaw's somewhat shoddy network of spies and in cheese business, ultimately leading to securing the safety of the crown and even an audience with the king. And Mathias, he doesn't just send out others to do the work for him. He's not afraid to get his own hands dirty. During the Cataclysm, for example, members of the Alliance, they met up with him in the Twilight Highlands, taking the fight against Cho'Gall and the Twilight Hammer cult. Fun fact, the Twilight Hammer once tried to recruit him into their ranks. True story, Mathias tells us, but he is no ally to them. Together, we work on liberating a dragon, slaying those followers of the old gods, and setting our sights on the Hammer of Twilight, an artifact forged with the power of the old gods, commissioned by Deathwing himself. It is the breaker of worlds, something best not left in Cho'Gall's possession. It seemingly left behind unprotected, but that just turned out to be a trap. Skullcrusher the Mountain is ordered by his master to take us out, but with the aid of Shaw, we're able to slay the beast and push Cho'Gall into his bastion. There he would meet his ultimate fate, and even Deathwing the Destroyer was slain at the end of the Cataclysm, putting a stop to the Old Gods' plans and moving the story into Mist of Pandaria. The SI7 itself, they play quite a part in that expansion, trying to keep Anduin, the White Pawn, safe, and while Mathias was planned to have some role in Warlords of Draenor, that was ultimately scrapped. Instead, the Spymaster ran into quite a bit of trouble during Legion. You might recall how the Burning Legion had invaded Azeroth once again, and heroes of the world, they rose up, forming mighty order halls and claiming powerful artifacts for the defense of the world. On the Broken Shore, the Alliance and Horde walked right into a death trap. The Horde, they lost their war chief, while the Alliance, they lost their king. How was this surprise? How was this disaster possible, with such an extensive network of spies feeding Mathias Shaw information? Well, during the Rogue Order Hall campaign, with the Uncrowned, we uncovered that the SI7, they've been acting peculiar as of late. The dead body of an SI7 agent, Amber Kiernan, she falls onto their doorstep. If the SI7 would link the Uncrowned to her murder, that would simply be bad for business, so they need to get to the bottom of this sooner rather than later. Turns out it was actually Shaw himself that gave the order to kill Kiernan. She uncovered what the Spymaster wants to keep a secret.
We were on the Broken Shore mere hours before the Alliance and Horde fleets arrived. Mathias Shaw led our SI7 team on a secret recon of the island. We were awaiting extraction.
Our evac is almost here. We have to warn the Alliance and Horde. They must turn their fleets around. The Broken Shore is a death trap. Anything, Lieutenant?
The island is crawling with demons. Far more than we anticipate.
So, you have uncovered our little secret. Let me assure you, your precious fleets will fall into our trap.
You'll never get away with it, Death Rock!
Oh, but I will. And you, Mathias Shaw, will help us to do it. Now I am the leader of SI7.
The Dreadlord Deathrok has taken over for Shaw and made sure that their plans worked out brilliantly on the Broken Shore. He is still leading them, even now, whispering in King Anduin's ears, whispers and manipulation to put the Horde and Alliance against each other and turn their focus away from the Legion. Our followers are sent out to discover where in the world Mathias Shaw is, eventually locating him at Felsel Hold in Suramar.
The Uncrowned to the rescue. I wouldn't expect anything less.
You keep them off me, and I will get SI7 here out of his cage.
Get me out of here so that I can help.
You'll get your chance soon enough, Mathias.
Thank you.
I will get Mathias to safety through the sewer tunnels.
That was the easy part. Now we need to infiltrate Stormwind, stealth through the SI7 headquarters, and slay Deathrok before the Alliance launches their attack upon the Hordes.
I'm the real Mathias Shaw! No, I am! Kill him! Enough! I need more room!
My swarm will destroy you to sleep. Forget your alliance and Horde are destined to destroy each other.
Perhaps, but not anytime soon, demon.
Deathrok has been defeated, and the real Mathias Shaw reclaims his position as leader of SI7. All-out war between the Alliance and Horde has been averted, letting us fully focus upon the Burning Legion. Mathias even helps us with that mission, not becoming an official member of the Uncrowned. He is after all the leader of the SI7, but when we need his assistance or his guidance, we need but ask. We will work together through back channels to ensure that the Burning Legion is destroyed. And we actually did manage to do that, but not without massive consequences to the world. The Dark Titan Sargeras was able to pierce Azeroth before he was imprisoned, causing massive damage to the world and the Titan spirit inside. All across its surface, a brand new resource pops up, Azerite, the blood of a Titan, which kicks off an arms race and changes the face of war in Warcraft forever. Shaw's told to put his best people on it and learn all that we can about this new resource. It's incredibly powerful, both defensive and offensive. While Magni Bronzebeard, he wants everyone to focus on healing the world's wounds, but instead, it just creates an arm race between the Alliance and the Horde. Once more, the factions are going at each other. Shaw's spies in Orgrimmar, they're keeping their eyes and ears open for any news, and their intel, it lets the Alliance know that the Horde is going to focus on Silithus. This is actually misinformation, purposely dropped to put the Alliance on a false trail. What they're actually going to do is focus on Teldrassil, home of the Night Elves. An example where Shaw's spy network, it fails to hit the mark. Clever bastards those damned Horde are, he will give them that. Alliance heroes are quickly sent over by Shaw to try and help with the defense. But as we all know, we couldn't prevent the genocide of the Night Elves. And so Battle for Azeroth could begin, with the war between the Alliance and Horde kicking into overdrive. Both sides, they move out to find new allies. The Horde, they go to Zandalar, the Alliance to Kaltiras. The faction war has a set up bases in enemy territory during the war campaign, and Mathias Shaw, he's right there with us, working together with Halford Wormbane and the 7th Legion.
SI-7 was built to work behind the scenes. I prefer to stay in the shadows, where I'm not so exposed.
I must admit, as a paladin, I have questioned the need for spies and assassins within the ranks of the Alliance. But the honor and loyalty you have shown to our king is beyond question.
Kind of you to say, but if I had to choose between satisfying honor and getting the job done, I'll pick the latter every time. For the Alliance, of course.
The light will endure long after we're gone. But when this war is over, what will you be left with, Shaw?
The next war, and the one after that.
And that was enough for Shaw. War and duty. At least before the Fourth War played out and meeting Flynn Fairwind. The Horde, in their war campaign, they have stolen the Abyssal Scepter. This powerful artifact, when in the correct hands, it grants its user great power over the sea. Best to make sure that the Horde no longer has it.
We can call upon the Void to conceal the magic Lady Jaina will use to open the portal. We believe we have eliminated any potential side effects.
By side effects, do you mean the shadowy tentacles or the descent into madness? Asking for a friend.
This is a serious mission, Fairwind.
I am being serious. Have you met my friends? Madness might be an improvement. And the tentacles in some cases. Say, are we allowed to make any additional withdrawals from the Treasury?
Captain Fairwind.
Magister, I think we're ready to get underway.
Many dangerous traps and foes are in our path, not to mention opulence, an elemental made out of gold. Flynn and Shaw, they're quite opposites from one another, Flynn being a go-with-the-flow, drunk kind of pirate, while Shaw, he is more orderly and routine. But both men, they have hearts of gold, and more in common, but we'll get to that later. After dismantling the traps, we carefully try to steal the scepter and replace it with a fake.
How's it going back there? Almost done?
It's a complicated mechanism. Disabling it requires patience and finesse.
Finesse a bit faster! You need any help? Tips? I've disabled a few traps before.
Are a few mystical masks too much for the infamous Flynn Fairwind?
While your concern is touching, it'll take more than a few creepy masks and angry stone golems to get the best of me. Come to think of it, an angry stone golem sounds like my last ex.
Can we stay focused? I'm almost done with the last set of traps. One more. Got it. The last trap is disarmed. Passable work, Fairwind. Careful.
Don't worry. They've got this. Nope. Now, we run.
Mischief managed, and with the scepter in the hands of the Alliance, they use its power to create a distraction, using a small attack team to make the Horde believe that their major assault is gonna come from Nusmir, emptying out the great capital and giving the actual brunt of their forces the opportunity to strike. The battle for the Zaralor, it saw the death of King Rastakhan, but it did not end the war between the Alliance and the Hordes. More help was going to be needed to stop Sylvanas Windrunner, like Varrock Sourfang, set free from prison by King Anduin Wrynn. Not without Shaw knowing about this, as he made sure that the guards in Redridge were too drunk to pay attention, which gave Sourfang the time needed to get out of their territory. And when Bane was imprisoned by the war chief for bringing Jaina's brother home, it was Shaw that joined Jaina into Orgrimmar to save the leader of the Torrens.
I did not expect the Alliance to be here.
Not the first time we've had to move against a corrupt war chief.
Or a sovereign king, slain in his own home.
A home that still stands. Can you say the same for Teldrassil?
Enough! We aren't here to fight each other.
Stay focused. Bane's life is all that matters right now.
By working together, they're able to escape Sylvanas' trap and rescue Bane. Sourfang, he would go on to challenge the Banshee Queen to Mak'gora, a battle that he knew he could not win, but still earned victory by exposing her to the rest of the Hordes. They're all nothing to her. She got much bigger plans in mind with the Jailer and the Shadowlands. Stories and motivation that's going to unfold in the next expansion, and Sylvanas, she vapes out of there. With the loss of another war chief, the Horde decides to give a council a try, many different voices to speak for their people. The Fourth War, it has come to an end, but not everything is instantly forgotten or forgiven. They might have signed an armistice, but the wounds of war still fester, and some are unwilling to let it go, not until they've claimed their vengeance.
The next war, and the one after that.
Shaw resumes his duties as Spymaster, talking with his friends Valera Sanguinar about what the future might bring. They know each other, as Valera has been a friend to House Wrynn for quite a while now. Also through the Uncrowned, the events of Legion, and even during Battle for Azeroth, as Valera, she set up a meeting for Bane to bring back Jaina's brother Derek.
And what of you, Shaw? What is there for Stormwind's Spymaster to do in a time of peace?
You know as well as I that a true spy never rests. There is always a new conspiracy to uncover. That said, I may find a bit of time for myself.
Just yourself?
There is someone I would like to get to know better. But such things are best taken slowly, carefully.
Spoken like a true spy. Just remember, happiness is a fleeting thing. Find it while you can, Shaw.
Perhaps I will, Valera. Perhaps I will.
And that someone is mentioned in the novel Shadows Rising. So, if you haven't read the book yet and you want to be completely surprised, heads up, we are going to be talking about the book. In Shadows Rising, we read about Mathias Shaw on a mission to find out more information on rumored Banshee loyalist activity within Zandalar. Going to spy in enemy territory during times of peace. It's not really a good image, regardless of their motivations, so they have to keep it a secret. A small, trusted crew is going to get them there. Captain Flynn Fairwind, he's the man for the job to get them to Zandalar safely, and en route, the two men, they have a whole lot of time to talk. Mathias kept to the captain's quarters, where Flynn often joined him, ever a good drink in his belly. At first, the constant company, it annoyed Mathias. But gradually, as he was prone to do, he built a profile of the strange and fascinating Flynn Fairwind. He wondered if he would ever truly understand Fairwind, who seemed to be a man haunted, smiling and laughing to distract from something else. Maybe he didn't need to understand him, though the desire to remained constant. It was simply in Shaw's nature to try and scrape away the facade and see what lay beneath, and that skill, that obsession, it made him good at his job. While personality-wise, they are quite different, they also have a common ground. Like Mathias' grandmother, Flynn's mother was also a thief, something that she had kept hidden from her son, but he found out on his own. At first, he was angry, or maybe sad, because he wanted her to trust him. But then he realized any mother willing to do that for her son, risk her life and liberty, must be full of love and bravery, Mathias told him softly. Her end came when she was caught for her crimes and hung by the noose. A sound no little boy should ever hear, but Flynn had. Conversations such as these, it made the men grow closer to each other. On Zandalar, they uncover intel crucial to prove the Loyalists were actually active in the country, but before Shaw could report back to Stormwind, he was captured by a Zandalari patrol. To not make an act of aggression, he motioned to Flynn to set sail, to leave him behind, the only man that he had trusted enough to tell about his mother. Risking life and limb, Flynn Fairwind sails like he has never done before. He was Shaw's only hope on anyone getting this intel, on anyone even knowing what has happened to the Spymaster, and despite the magical storms making the journey incredibly treacherous, Flynn manages to do it. In the meantime, Mathias Shaw gets to enjoy Zandalari hospitality within their prison cells. To keep his hands and mind busy, to pass the time, he simply talks to the young guards stationed to keep an eye on him. Talk to them about how he was going to take a vacation soon, maybe disappear into the highlands. He had a cabin out there once. Small, what you might call cozy. Get up whenever he happened to, go to bed just the same, put a chair out in the tall grass and kick his boots off. Whittle some, work on his bird calls, rambling away. He thinks it sounds a little bit lonely. Maybe you shouldn't go alone, despite being good at it. Find a friend to come with. And as he kept talking, Mathias realized he had stumbled into a truth he hadn't meant to bungle into. Well, I should make a friend, a partner. He thought he had one, or the start of one, or something more. But that remained to be seen. If, when he got out of prison, he would just ask the man directly. He was just beginning to warm up to Flynn when things turned into chaos. There was so much that he wanted to tell him now. About himself, about his family, about the life he led for his country, but not for himself. In his mind's eye, he could almost see the two of them together at their cabin, snapping off a piece of grass to play with. Not nervously, but to give himself focus. Tell Flynn about his grandmother, how she was there for him when his mother had passed away. Silly things, like how she always wore a grotesque amount of rings, jewels glittering on every knuckle, but on her right ring finger, she wore only a tight red string. As a boy, Shaw had asked what it means once. Petunia had cuffed him across the cheek, and he never asked again. He thought then of that small red thread, saw it unwind, growing longer and longer, until he saw it connected from that scared boy to where he stood now, a line drawn in blood. How different his family's legacy could have been. How different his life could have been had he been given the freedom to choose for himself. Did Flynn Fairwind feel the same? Doomed to a life of piracy, of theft, because his mother had put him on that path? Shaw leaned against the cold gold wall, forehead instantly chilled, and wondered about freedom, about how much he had felt it on board the ship and the man that had been there with him. A man that smelled like whiskey and salt and soap, whose coat had been warm in his hands, as warm as sun-baked stones.
Easy, sailor. I know I look good, but we've got work to do.
A lot of time to ponder about things, to reflect on his life and wonder what it would have been like if he had simply been given some freedom. All this rambling is going on, and the guards are even kind enough to give him a piece of grass. Not a tool to be used as an escape, of course, but something for his vacation. And wouldn't you know it, the events of the book eventually do lead to the release of Stormwind Spymaster. In the harbor, Flynn all but shoves Anduin out of the way, throwing himself at Mathias and wrapping him in a tight, warm hug. The crazy pirate had nearly killed himself sailing for help, and all that just for him. Not something that Mathias takes lightly, nor would he forget. Slowly releasing Flynn from the embrace, Shaw gave him that one blade of grass, telling him that there's something he needs to talk about that very night at the Gilded Rose. Flynn's expression didn't seem to register what to do with the grass, but the flush in his cheeks said all that Shaw needed to know.
Are you thirsty? I'm thirsty.
And there ends the story of our Spymaster Mathias Shaw. For the moment anyways, as we know that the adventures with Flynn, they're only just beginning. Exploring Azeroth, set to release in October, it will have exquisite art and a framing story involving the no-nonsense Mathias Shaw and high spirits Captain Flynn Fairwind, an in-depth look at the items we've collected, and some we might not have just yet. This book, it covers the continent of the Eastern Kingdoms, from Stormwind to Stranglethorn, Plaguelands to Palaces, and all the lands in between. Not sure if that means that these two are going to share tales at that cabin that he was dreaming about the loot that they've come across, or if they're going to be traveling the country together. Either way, we've got that book to look forward to, and who knows what kind of adventures they'll get into in the game. Now, having Flynn and Shaw as a couple, it confused a couple of people, as in Battle for Azeroth, we saw that Flynn had quite an affection towards Talia Fordragon. That is definitely true. But then again, just because he was attracted to Talia, it doesn't mean that he can't be attracted to Mathias Shaw as well. In the case of Shaw, we know very little of his past relationships, besides the close connection that he had to Edwin Van Cleef. A man that has dedicated his life to his country is now finally going to take some time for himself and find his own happiness. Who knows where that journey might take him. But for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Now if you did, comments, likes, subscribing, hitting that bell to actually get notified, they all help immensely. And as always, until next time, see ya!